Yo, so what is good, everybody on YouTube? We are back today with a brand new video. And for today's video, as always, we are doing a new career simulation. This time we are going to be re-simming the career of Shaquille O'Neal, Big Diesel. So before we really hop into this, I have two things to say real quick. Number one, definitely hit that subscribe button if you are new and you enjoy career simulations. Also, smash the like button, and number two, definitely be sure to let me know who you want us to do next in the comments. It could be a prospect, a current NBA player, or even somebody who has already retired and is a legend like Shaq, because we do re-sims and we do normal career sims as well. So let's just hop into the video and see exactly where Shaq gets drafted in the 2020 NBA draft class. So here we go, and with the first pick, let's actually see who the team is. So somehow the Milwaukee Bucks got the first pick in the 2020 draft. Not really sure how, but Shaquille O'Neal is going to the Milwaukee Bucks. And let's see if Giannis is still there, or if they maybe used him in a chip to get the first pick, because I'm not really sure how that works. So Giannis is still here, along with Chris Middleton, and now they have Shaquille O'Neal at an 84 overall as their starting big man. Obviously, in year one here, Giannis gets MVP of the regular season. No real surprise there. It's always pretty much a lock to be him or Luka Doncic at this point. And I wonder if Shaq got Rookie of the Year. So Shaq actually did not. James Wiseman with the Golden State Warriors actually ended up getting Rookie of the Year, but I'm sure he did make that all-rookie first team, so let's make sure and check that out. So all-rookie first team, James Wiseman, Cole Anthony, Obi, LaMelo, and Shaquille O'Neal. And obviously the addition of Shaq certainly helped this team get that #1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. And Shaq did pretty solid this year with 16.9 points per game and over 7 rebounds a game, so you cannot complain about that, especially for a rookie campaign. Those are some super solid numbers. So let's see, our first round matchup is up against the New York Knicks. I'm honestly kind of surprised to see them even make the playoffs, so I don't think that we really should worry about them, as we do end up winning the series 4-2. Shaq only putting up 13-8 in that game, but not too bad whatsoever. Second round here, we're up against an Atlanta Hawks team that did add Anthony Davis, which definitely makes them a lot better, but at the end of the day, we still did knock them out 4-2. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals here, up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Definitely not an easy opponent, my bad. So it should be a tough series. We'll see what ends up happening. They're taking it to 7 with us, so let's hop into Simcast and actually see how it plays out. So as you can see, we have a pretty solid lead right now over them, so hopefully we can just keep this and move on to the finals in year one. As you can see, we end up absolutely flooding them by 32 points in that game, moving to the finals up against the Memphis Grizzlies. And things are looking pretty solid in this series as we find ourselves up 3-0, and we're going to hop into Simcast. Unfortunately, they do get a game right there, as you can see, but we hop into Game 5 right here, and as you can see, we are up 141 to 103 on this Grizzlies squad. So it's obviously looking like an absolute lock that we get our first championship here, and I'm kind of interested to see if maybe Shaq can even steal the Finals MVP from Giannis, because who knows just how great he's played throughout these playoffs. So let's check it out. Definitely excited to see the kind of box score from this game and who actually ends up getting the Finals MVP trophy here in year one. It's definitely not the usual that we go into a career sim and we win a championship in year one. As you can see, Giannis right there dapping up Shaq, as hopefully this is just the beginning of many finals championships for this little core they got together. Chris Middleton, Shaquille O'Neal, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So let's see, from the box score, Chris Middleton actually the highest scorer on our team in that game, but Shaq did have a nice high point double-double, and honestly, to no surprise, Giannis does get MVP, but at least Shaq did do his thing out there, being one of the top 3 players on that championship team in his rookie season. So, year 2 here, as you can see, unfortunately, Giannis Antetokounmpo has left us. We no longer have the Greek Freak. Shaq is going to be the guy on this team, now at an 88 overall, and we'll see how it plays out. As you can see, Shaq gets Most Improved Player and Defensive Player of the Year in year 2, and Luka Doncic gets MVP. Let's see if we did make playoffs. Unfortunately, without Giannis, we were only a 35-win team. Shaq putting up 25.7 points per game and 12.8 rebounds per game, but it was not enough to get it done. So we're just going to simulate through and see who the actual championship game here is. You get the Warriors versus that Hawks team that now is Anthony Davis. And let's see how it plays out. The Hawks with Anthony Davis and Trae Young actually end up taking it. So let's move right into year 3 and see if Shaq can take us back to the promised land yet again. In all honesty, we have a pretty similar team to what we had last year. As you can see, we added a guy like Eric Bledsoe and TJ McConnell off the bench, but no real big upgrades. Shaq now at a 93 overall, and a lot of accolades already in his 3 years in the NBA. Most improved player, NBA champion, defensive player of the year. Like, the accolades are very much building up. And this is what our starting rotation is looking like in this year. Eric Bledsoe, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Jeremy Grant, and Shaq. So in year 3 here, we actually get Steph Curry getting MVP. And yet again, Shaq is the defensive player of the year, absolutely killing it on the defensive end of the floor. And obviously pretty much on the offensive side as well, with over 25 points per game yet again in year 3. So we'll see how it plays out. We did end up making playoffs this year, and we are up against LaMelo Ball, Anthony Davis, and Clint Capella. So not an easy first round matchup for us whatsoever. It's going to go to game 7, so hopefully we can pull this out and move on to the second round. But let's see what the Simcast will show us on this. We did have a little bit of a lead, and now it's going back and forth. And it's not looking too great. Although this game was pretty close all game, they do end up barely beating us by 7 points right there. Tragic. Shaq did do his thing, dropping 21 and 11 with 4 blocks, but we could not get it done. As you can see, the finals here, our former player right there, Giannis, in the finals with his new team, and same with Trae Young, kind of leaving the Hawks. So that Hornets team is a huge problem between having Giannis Antetokounmpo and Trae Young, as they find themselves up 3-2, and they take the finals right there 4-2. Trae Young getting a finals MVP. Moving into year 4 of the sim, hopefully our luck can be better in the playoffs this year. We did add an absolute clamper right there in Jonathan Isaac over the offseason. So it actually is Chris Middleton coming off the bench, which I don't love, because obviously he's one of our better players. Giannis Antetokounmpo getting MVP in year 4 with the Hornets, and of course we get Defensive Player of the Year yet again. Although it did not really translate into wins, because unfortunately we were a 37-win team, and now 98 overall Shaq, 23.5 points per game, 11.3 rebounds per game, and some solid defensive play, of course, with his block numbers being one of the highest in the league. So we have a Thunder versus Cavs finals here in the year 2024. And it honestly could go either way, as the Thunder end up pulling it out. Kyrie Irving actually gets finals MVP there. So year 5 here, hopefully we can finally make it back into the playoffs and just go crazy, as we have probably a 99 overall Shaq now. Yep, we have a 99 overall Shaq. We have Chris Middleton, and we have Jonathan Isaac, which honestly I think is a good enough core to maybe even get us into the Eastern Conference Finals. So you can kind of see his accolades yet again building up. Giannis Antetokounmpo here getting regular season MVP, and now Bronny in the league as he is Rookie of the Year. So keep an eye on Bronny, because he's always fun to watch in these sims. And of course, Shaq gets Defensive Player of the Year yet again. We do improve a little bit, but getting the 40 wins is not really where we wanted to go. We only went up 3 wins. Shaq putting up 24.2 points per game and 12 rebounds per game with 2.3 blocks per game. And of course, we had Chris Middleton scoring over 20 a game. And apparently at some point we added Bol, but him and Shaq somehow was not enough to get us into the playoffs. I would not like to have to verse that Twin Towers, I can tell you that much, because that is an absolute issue. He was putting up over 20 points a game as well. So yet again, Giannis and the Hornets are making it to the finals, this time up against the New Orleans Pelicans, Trae Young and Giannis. I would not be surprised if they win yet another championship right here, as they get up 3-1 on this Pelicans team and they end up routing them in 5. Let's see who the finals MVP was. This time it was Giannis and not Trae. So in year 6 right here, look up Shaq, because he was no longer on our team. As you can see, he is a free agent, and he went to the Nets. So let's see what this Nets team's looking like. Actually, a very solid team he signed with. So Shaq's at a 99. We have a 97 Amani Bates and a 95 overall Nikola Jokic. which is going to be kind of weird, those two playing together, but let's see if it works. Giannis gets MVP yet again, Shaq Defensive Player of the Year, and we finished as the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is a huge W. Amani Bates, 27.5 points per game. Cole Anthony's doing his thing, 19.4 points per game from Shaq. Kind of taking a little bit off his shoulders scoring-wise, but still doing his thing in rebounds and on the defensive side of the floor. So here we are in the playoffs. And as you can see, our first round matchup is against Giannis, who did betray us earlier. And thankfully, after going to Game 7 with him, we do knock him out. Trae Young and Giannis definitely did their thing, but we are moving on to the second round up against the New York Knicks, who never stood a chance, getting swept 4-0 by our absolute bomb squad. Eastern Conference Finals right here, our Nets are going to be up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are definitely not a bad team, so let's see how this one plays out, as they actually get up 2-0 on us, and now it's 3-1. It's kind of looking bleak, and we lose in 6, but Luka Doncic and Pascal Siakam definitely did do a very good job, but our team will be back for the playoffs next year without a doubt. So the Thunder are going to be up against that Cleveland Cavaliers team right here in the finals. And that Thunder team, also another team not to joke about whatsoever. So let's see how this plays out. It's two very good teams. The Thunder are up 3-0. Cavs get a game, but they still end up taking it in 5, so the Thunder get it. Kyrie Irving, Finals MVP yet again. Year 7 here, this is what the squad is looking like. Still Shaq, Amani Bates, and Nikola Jokic. And besides that, we have a huge fall off, but you really only need those 3 guys that are absolute ballers, and then just some kind of role players. So hopefully we can make a splash in the playoffs this year. Shaq actually gets MVP this season with 25 points per game and 14.4 rebounds per game, and obviously doing his thing defensively as well with 2.7 blocks per game. Still Defensive Player of the Year as well, so MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Let's see how our standings actually turned out. So we were the #1 seed with 64 wins. Only team that was even close to us is this Cleveland Cavaliers team, as they did actually have the same record. So despite Shaq being the MVP this year, Amani Bates still put up over 30 points per game, and our guy Jokic put up 20 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and 8.9 assists per game as well. And we added Dennis Schroeder, and in all honesty, I think this team could win the championship this year, as we do knock out the Knicks in the first round. No big surprise there. Moving on to the second round up against the Raptors here with Jaylen Brown, and I think we should beat this team, although they are taking it to 7 with us. And honestly, maybe I spoke too soon because we did get knocked out. Our tandem of big men absolutely snapped in that game, but it was not enough. Moving into year 8, Shaq is still at a 99, Amani Bates at a 98, and Nikola Jokic at a 95. We really need something to go our way in the playoffs, because I feel like our team's too talented to not be going further. Shaq gets MVP in year 8 right here with the Suns, and of course Shaq's Defensive Player of the Year. Yet again, we are the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, this time above the Indiana Pacers. So let's look at the player stats from this season. Amani Bates, 32.4 points per game. Shaq's doing his thing, 23.8 points per game and 12.6 rebounds per game. Let's see who our first round matchup is. So we got a matchup up against the Chicago Bulls. Not too great of a team, so this should be an easy dub for us. 40 points there from Amani Bates to actually take them out in Game 5. Second round here up against the Boston Celtics, and yet again a 4-0 sweep there. That time with Shaq dropping 40 and 17 to get us the win. Eastern Conference Finals up against the Hornets, and of course we knocked them out as well in 5. Shaq's doing his thing. Giannis and Trae Young could not get it done. Here we are finally in the finals up against this Denver Nuggets team, and unfortunately we get absolutely smacked 4-0, a clean sweep on our head. That's not what you love to see. We battled to finally get to the championship, and this happens. 44-point performance from Amani Bates there. Could not get it done. Moving into year 9, we no longer have our guy Amani Bates here. It's just Shaq and Nikola Jokic. 99 overall Shaq, of course. 94 overall Nikola Jokic. So honestly, let's see what can happen. Definitely going to put this in a post-centric play, since we have our 2 best players for sure being our big men. And let's see how it turns out in year 9. In year 9, Cade Cunningham actually secures himself MVP, and of course, Shaq Defensive Player of the Year yet again. It's almost going without saying at this point that Shaq is the Defensive Player of the Year. So Shaq, absolutely great season offensively with 29.7 points per game, and Jokic was definitely doing his thing as well with 23.1 points per game. It was enough to get us in the playoffs for sure as the number 2 seed. So we'll see what happens. We absolutely smoked the Wizards in the first round right there, with Shaq putting up 31 points, 23 rebounds in that game, which is insane. Second round, we have a matchup up against the Philadelphia 76ers, in which we absolutely dominate yet again, beating them in 5. Shaq putting up 24 points and 19 rebounds. So Eastern Conference Finals up against this very talented Cleveland Cavaliers team that has given us a lot of trouble in the past. So let's see if we can finally make it past them. And it's not looking great as they actually end up routing us in 6. Shaq putting up 31 and 13 in that game. It was not enough. Finals here, Pelicans up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, both a very good team. So I guess we'll just see how this one plays out as the Pelicans get up 3-1. The Cavs start out having a little bit of a comeback, and Mikey Williams gets the Finals MVP. Pelicans win it all. Year 10, I guess this team just loves to bring in centers because we do no longer have Nikola Jokic, so they go and get a 98 overall James Wiseman to play alongside Shaq. So I guess we're just all in on having 2 great centers. I think that's the whole thing here. And apparently they moved Shaq to the power forward position. And I don't know any current day power forward that could ever hold Shaq even in the slightest. As you can see, Shaq yet again, Defensive Player of the Year. And of course we do finish the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. James Wiseman did his thing, 24 points per game. Shaq right below, 23.8. They both, and we added Marvin Bagley as well. This team just loves bringing in centers. We have Marvin Bagley, Shaquille O'Neal, and James Wiseman apparently as our 3 best players. So that's pretty insane. First round matchup up against the Indiana Pacers. And of course we do take the dub in 5. Second round matchup, we got Jalen Green and the Toronto Raptors, so not an easy one, but we do beat them in 6. Shaq and James Wiseman yet again doing their thing. Eastern Conference Finals here up against the Miami Heat with Donovan Mitchell and Chet. Not an easy team to beat, and yet again, we win in 5. Wow. 48-point performance there from Marvin Bagley, so we find ourselves in the championship, this time up against the LA Clippers. As it's tied up 2-2, they get a game 3-2. And you don't like to see it. So we're going to sim and see what happens. And unfortunately, we get bounced in 6. Anthony Edwards getting Finals MVP. Shaq putting up 34 in that game, but it was not enough. Year 11. This game has been absolutely hoeing my man Shaq in the playoffs. So we need something to change here. Yet again, we still have Shaq at a 99. And we have James Wiseman as well at a 98 overall. Hopefully we can actually win something this year, man. Amani Bates gets MVP with the Clippers right there. 32.6 points per game. And Shaq, of course, gets Defensive Player of the Year yet again. We finished the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. Shaq, 25.2 points per game, 12.7 rebounds per game, and 2.8 blocks per game. Right behind him, James Wiseman as well, putting up some pretty similar numbers. We get bounced in the first round, unfortunately, by the Toronto Raptors and Jalen Green. Championship here, we got the Miami Heat up against the Utah Jazz, who have Bronny. So let's see if Bronny gets himself his first championship here. 3-1. They get a game. They're taking it to 7, and Bronny ices it up and goes to 7. Comes out the dog. Bronny MVP already of the finals. So, here we go. Year 12, after just winning a championship, Bronny decides to sign with our Nets, and we don't have any of those big men anymore, it's just Shaq and Bronny, so let's see how this combo plays out. Surprisingly enough, we are only a 46-win team with Shaq and Bronny, so we'll see, honestly, how the playoffs play out. Hopefully, we step up a lot more in playoffs. 30 points per game there for Bronny, 20 for Shaq, 12.3 rebounds as well. Bronny at a 97 overall and Shaq at a 99 overall. First round matchup up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Cole Anthony, who did used to be on our team, and a decent squad, but I do think that we should pull this out. We actually have to go to 7 with them, but we do win there. Dennis Smith Jr. actually leading our team in scoring. Second round up against the Miami Heat with Kai Soto, so definitely a very good team here, and we get bounced in 7. Bronny putting up 34, but it was not enough. Raptors versus the Lakers in the finals right here, and the Raptors end up winning with finals MVP going to Chet. Year 13. I'm sick and tired of this nonsense going on in Shaq's career. We really need a big year. So Killian Hayes, Bronny, and Shaq all still on the Nets team. We're chilling with a 4-star system proficiency. Jalen Johnson gets an MVP season with the Kings. And, of course, Shaq is Defensive Player of the Year, as you already know. Standings. Number 2 seed in the East, only behind the Bucks, so not bad at all. Bronny doing his thing. Shaq, 20.2 points per game. 15.5 rebounds per game. That's very good. First round matchup up against the Philadelphia 76ers yet again. And hopefully we do beat them. So, yes, yet again, we go to 7 with them, but we do end up winning. 39-point performance right there from Bronny, holding it together for us. Shaq putting up 22 and 10 as well with 4 blocks. So, definitely can't say he didn't help. Here in the second round, we are up against the Boston Celtics, who have Luka Doncic, of course, and Luka Doncic definitely is a dog, as we lose 4-1. Bronny putting up 31, Shaq putting up 25 and 21, but we still couldn't get it done, which is insane. Their center absolutely popped off with 35 and 14, and we just got outplayed, simply. So, Nuggets versus the Celtics in the playoffs right here, the finals. And of course, I guess we'll root for the Celtics since they did knock us out in the second round right there. So why not? Rather lose to the champion than lose to the guy that lost to the champion. Nuggets versus the Clippers. Going to Game 7, and the Celtics end up winning 98 overall. Luka Doncic getting MVP. You can see Ben Simmons, Nikola Jokic, and some other young guys currently in the NBA are already retiring at this point. 98 overall Bronny. A 90 overall Shaq because he's starting to hit that regression wall. And a 90 overall Killian Hayes. But despite hitting that little bit of a regression that he has, Shaq still ends up being Defensive Player of the Year at now a 90 overall. So that's definitely a big W for the big guy. Yet another Defensive Player of the Year to add to that kind of repertoire that he already has. But we did miss playoffs with Bronny, Killian Hayes, and Shaq, which is insane. Bronny putting up 29.1 points per game. Shaq putting up 19 points per game, but still was not enough to get it done. So Clippers versus the Raptors right here. Raptors have a solid squad with Zion and Chet, but the Clippers squad is definitely a dog squad as well. So Raptors up 3-1, and they end up taking it 4-1. Moving into year 15, we need to try and get Shaq at least one more championship before it's all over. And let's see what the squad is looking like in year 14. So in year 14, this is what the squad is looking like. Killian Hayes, where's Shaq? Okay, so Shaq is no longer with the Brooklyn Nets. Let's take a look as to where he is. Shaq's with the Pelicans. So let's go take a look at this Pelican squad. Pelican squad, Mikey Williams, Bronny? Oh, so it's Mikey Williams, Bronny, and Shaq? That's literally insane. So Bronny and Shaq both left in the offseason to go to the Pelicans and team up with Mikey Williams. And as you saw, Mikey Williams did get regular season MVP, and we finished as the number 2 seed. 89 overall Shaq, really not having to do too much as he's kind of being carried at this point by Mikey and Bronny. So first round matchup right here, we have the Denver Nuggets in the first round, a team that did just win the championship about a year or two ago. They now have Jalen Green as well, but we actually do rout them, thankfully. Moving on to a second round matchup up against the Kings squad with a very good Jalen Johnson. We knock them out in 7. Western Conference Finals here up against the Los Angeles Clippers with Amani Bates. And let's see how this one plays out. This should be an absolute dogfight. They're up 2-1. We get a game. If they're up on us 3-2 now, let's just see how it plays out. We take it to 7, and let's hop in the Simcast, as always, to see how Game 7 is going to end up playing out. And it looks like we should be taking this unless something crazy happens. The game's actually gotten very close right there. But we have a little bit of a lead now. As you can see, we're up 129-124. And I'll just sim to the end because I don't really want to sit there through all the fouls. And as you can see, we do end up taking it. The Los Angeles Clippers have been defeated by our New Orleans Pelicans. So we are going to be moving into the NBA Finals here in the later years of Shaq's career. and it's about time that we're back there, especially with a solid squad. So let's see what this Raptors team that we're going to be playing looks like. They have Chet. They no longer have Zion, which is definitely a help. So I think we can take this team, in all honesty. We get up 2-1. They get a game. It's not going to be an easy one. They are up 3-2. And let's hop into Simcast. We do take that game, so we are pushing it to 7 with a huge victory right there. And let's hop into Simcast and see how Game 7 plays out. We hop into Game 7 with about 57 seconds left. We are up by 10. And as you can see, it's looking like we have secured the dub. Bronny passing it down low for the quick little slam, putting us up by 12 points with 17 seconds left. So it looks like Shaq is going to be getting yet his second NBA championship. Obviously, the first one came in his very first season, and now this one's coming pretty late into his career, in all honesty. But we will take it. A chip is a chip. So let's go. As you can see, Shaq and Bronny posted up with the trophy right there with Mikey Williams in the back. And let's check out the box score from that game. So Shaq being the third highest scorer on the team, of course. And let's see who gets Finals MVP. It was actually Mikey Williams as we routed them in Game 7. And I was expecting Shaq to maybe retire after that, but he does not. Still hanging in there at an 84 overall. Still chilling with the Pelicans. A lot of accolades, of course. Chet gets MVP of the regular season in year 16. Do we make the playoffs? We do make the playoffs with 47 wins. Shaq, fourth highest scorer on the team, so not too bad, honestly, for being in his 16th year in the NBA. Pelicans versus the Thunder is the first round matchup. And we do end up beating them, moving on to the second round up against the LA Clippers. And that team did have Amani Bates, so if they still have Amani Bates, it's not going to be an easy series. And not only do they have Amani Bates, they also have Anthony Edwards, so they have the firepower to combat us. But we actually end up taking it from the 4-2, moving on to the Western Conference Finals here, up against the Denver Nuggets. Let's see how it turns out. We are down 3-1. We get a game. It's 3-2. Let's hop into Simcast and see how this one plays out. So, as you can see, they do have a little bit of a lead on us here. And it's getting close. We're starting to narrow the little depth right here. And it's not looking great. We go on a run. We tie it up with 52 seconds left. All tied up, 52 seconds left. Win or go home. If we lose, we're done. If we don't, we go to Game 7. Nuggets up by 2 with 43 seconds left in this. It could go any way you look at it. So let's see what actually ends up happening. Bronny over to Mikey Williams. Mikey Williams drains the open 3, putting us up by 1 with 36 seconds left in this game. Of course, the Nuggets bringing the ball up, and this is a very, very spooky time here. Drives in and gets the bucket, putting the Nuggets up by 1. About 15 seconds left. Mikey Williams, contested layup, drops it in, making it a 1-point game for us. Shot clock unplugged. They throw up the 3. He bricks it, but he puts it back up with 1.4 seconds left on the clock. That is tragic. As you can see, we just could not get it done on the boards right there, and that costed us it all. So after a very great game, we are going to be unfortunately sent home. We did lose. The Nuggets are going to go to the finals here up against the Celtics. And that's one of the craziest endings to a 2K game I've ever seen, in all honesty, in one of these sims. So, of course, the Nuggets do have Jalen Green and some dogs, so let's see how it plays out. As you can see, the Celtics are up 3-2, and they end up taking it 4-2. Moving us into year 17 of the sim. And is this man Shaq really still playing? He's now at a 79 overall, and it looks like he has a contract with the Warriors. So let's see what this team that he has gone to is looking like. So 79 overall Shaq on this Warriors team. Oh, that's not the team. That's still the Pelicans. Ryan Mutombo is their best player. Where's Shaq at? So Shaq's probably 5th or 6th highest overall-wise, and they have him playing off the bench as their 7th man. Mikey Williams gets MVP right there. And no longer are you going to be seeing Shaq as Defensive Player of the Year, which is kind of crazy. And I don't see Shaq on this team's end-of-the-year player stats, so I'm assuming he got traded or cut. So let's look into the transaction report for the Warriors and see what happened to our guy here. So it looks like he was actually traded to the Nuggets, who about a year or two ago, they were a championship contender. So let's see if they made playoffs and what Shaq was up to. So check out the standings. The Nuggets, of course, they did not make the playoffs, which definitely sucks. But let's see how good Shaq did. So Shaq put up 11 points per game, 6.1 rebounds per game, and 0.9 blocks per game. Not bad for a 79 overall player in about his 17th season in the league. Bulls versus the Clippers here in the finals. And, of course, they have Anthony Edwards and Amani Bates on this Clippers team, so a very good team. Although the Bulls are up 2-0, 3-0, and they're actually going to beat them in 5. Moving into year 18 of the sim, Shaq is currently a free agent. He was not picked up by anybody in this final season here in year 18. He's at a 76 overall. So we'll sim and see if maybe he gets picked up. As you can see, he did not get picked up. We're in the finals here. Bulls win yet another championship back-to-back. And let's check out everything post-Shaq's career here. So player retirements, I would really hope he retired right here. So let's take a look. Yep, there he is, right next to guys like Zion, James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, Jalen Johnson, a very good class. Looking at the Hall of Fame inductees, of course Shaq made it. Shaq, James Wiseman, Jalen Johnson, Zion, and Evan Mobley all being the inductees in 2040. And these are kind of all the standings of where he finished record-wise. And I'll just go to where Shaq is on all of them, and while I just keep talking. If you guys made it this far throughout the video, you know the drill. As always, comment GOAT, G-O-A-T, in all capitals down below so I know that you are a true Bean Squad supporter. I really appreciate all of you. I love all of you. If you haven't already and you made it this far, hit the like button and sub. It means a lot as we're on